Hi, everyone. Dr. Witt here. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about disc herniations and how we approach the treatment and maintenance or management of disc herniations here at Alameda Chiropractic and Ergonomics, and how that might be a little bit different than your typical chiropractor or even physical therapist. So first, let's get into the anatomy of the discs within the spine, right? So in the spine, we have bones. In between the bones, we have these discs. Now, the discs are made up of kind of two main parts. So we have this very thick outer tough portion, right? So that keeps the shape and that kind of just keeps everything nice and held, the center part held within that space. Now, the center part is a little bit softer, it's a little bit mushier. And the way that I kind of describe to my patients is it basically helps to absorb the forces of movement, right? So as your spine does this, as we're moving in gravity, it kind of helps to absorb the forces. If we jump off of something, right, it's going to be able to kind of absorb some of those forces so we don't break our spine, which is great to have these discs, right? So as we age, our discs are going to break down. Now, the way that I kind of describe it to my patients, the visual I give is imagine the brake pads on your car. The longer you have those brake pads, the more worn out they're going to get. Now, there are ways to kind of help decrease the speed at which they wear out, right? Just like we can do with the discs. But everyone's going to have discs that break down. That's just how they work. Now, as we age, right, they're breaking down. And as they're breaking down, we're starting to get like little weak spots within those fibers. Now, when we get those little weak spots, there's kind of two main things that can happen with a disc. So, a disc injury would be something like a disc bulge or a disc herniation. So, a bulge, think about if you have a balloon and you press it down, that balloon's going to kind of puff out in all directions. So, that's what a disc bulge is. It kind of puffs out in all directions. Now, if you have a herniation, now that one is going to be a little bit more, typically a little bit more intense as far as the symptoms go. Now, with a bulge, you can get some pressure on a spinal nerve, getting that kind of sciatica down your leg, but it's not typically as common to get that pressure on a nerve just from a disc bulge. With a herniation, though, typically what's happened there is you've moved in a certain way and you just put the right amount of force on that spine in the exact right direction. And that center part has now kind of broken through some of those fibers. And it is now an injured disc, right? It's going to cause inflammation and pain typically. In addition to that, what can also happen is as that kind of bulges out, it can put some pressure on that nerve. So the pressure can cause the pain and the pressure can also cause inflammation. So we have a lot of inflammation oftentimes happening here. Now, there's lots of different types of disc herniations. The type I've shown here is where those outermost fibers are still intact, but we have those inner fibers have kind of been broken, and we have that little bit center kind of pushing through, right? So we get that pain. It can go into the feet. If it's in the neck, right, it can go into the hands. Now, as far as taking care of this type of injury goes, we like to take the approach of less is more. And what we mean by less is we want you to be doing only the movements that are helpful for that disc. So typically, what that means is we're trying to kind of take the pressure off of that disc as it's healing so that we can decrease the amount of pushing outward that is happening. And so we can kind of hopefully coax and enable that center part to kind of go back in and for those inner fibers to heal. Now, the way that I kind of discuss this with my patients is think about if you had a cut, right? If every time it started to heal, you kind of picked at it, then it's going to take a lot longer to heal, and it's probably not going to heal as nicely or as well as it would have if you just did Neosporin and a Band-Aid and just kind of let it do its thing. So with the discs, right, it's not exactly the same, but we do want to give it the best environment for it to have that optimal ability to heal. So one thing that I've been seeing, and I've seen from patients who come into my office and also people online, is people being told to lie on their back in order to help the pain that they're having in their low back with that disc. So with that, there's a couple different reasons why I don't recommend that for my patients. So the first reason being, right, remember how I said we want to kind of take the pressure off that disc as much as we can. Well, when we lie on our back, we actually kind of flatten out that spine. So we're actually creating pressure on that disc. Now, in order to, now with that, right, lying down is a very stationary, static way of being. And so what's going to happen there is we're going to end up with this disc and the muscles around it and everything just becoming very stiff and stagnant, so that when you get up, either A, there's going to be pain, and or there's going to be a lot of stiffness. It's going to be difficult to get up very easily. So with my patients, what we're looking to do is we want to take the pressure off. So the first thing we do is we have them lie on their tummy, and we wait a few seconds and we kind of see, hey, how are things going? How does this feel? Does it feel okay? Does it feel like it's making more pain? What's going on with that? From there, what I'll do is I'll have them kind of prop themselves up on their forms, kind of like Sphinx pose. And again, we kind of wait 30 seconds maybe and see how are things going, right? With this, are we maybe getting less pressure on this nerve? Are we seeing pain going out of the leg, right? If we have that pain going down, is it coming out? Is it getting less? What's going on with that? So we continue on from there. As long as we're getting either no change or positive change, then we're going to continue to go up into an extension move. So that's going to be a repetitive press up, or if you know yoga, a repetitive cobra pose. So we're going to be pushing the torso off the ground, back down, off the ground, right? Hips, legs stay on the ground. We're going to push up and back down. Now, with the disc, right? The really important thing to know about your discs is that they actually, in a healthy disc, we don't actually have any blood vessels going into the disc. So in order for that disc to get those inflammation and those waste products out and bring in the things that are going to help it heal and keep it nice and strong, we do actually have to have a little bit of pumping action. The great news is that going on a more kind of brisk walk with a little bit of an arm swing, that gets a little bit of that pump, and that can actually be very helpful when we have that disc herniation. In addition to that, uh, we also have, right, if we're taking the pressure off, we're kind of creating this like vacuum effect and then coming back down. So we're sucking it in and pushing it back out, right? So we can get that little pumping action that's going to help that disc heal without having a lot of different things to do. So going on a walk and doing press ups, that's the two things I start my patients with. In addition to that, we give them different lifestyle recommendations so that they can decrease the amount of pressure that they're putting on those discs. And then after we have improvement, right? After we've stopped seeing that pain going down the leg for a little bit, then we start to bring back in movements that we've been avoiding before, because we always want to make sure that we are encouraging our patients to move their body in the full range and the way that it has been designed to do, right? We look at the spine, the low back, it goes front to back. So we want to make sure you can still go front, but we want to make sure that we're not going to make that worse. So we avoid it at first, and then we bring it in when we start to see that this is starting to stabilize and we're not getting that pain going down the leg anymore. So if this is something that maybe you've been dealing with, and if you've been lying on your back and you're not really sure why it's not getting better, this could be why. It might be that we're simply not putting your spine in positions and movements that are really going to help it. So if you like this, please like, follow, share with your friends, of course. And if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, please feel free to give us a call at 510-671-1716. We have a unique way of approaching the low back, and I think it's going to be pretty different than just about everything you've probably experienced with a chiropractor.